Let's address the elephant in the room. This is episode 5. Where's episode 4? Episode 4 was me fighting with TailwindCSS, and that was about 2 hours worth of it. And it turns out because I missed a single line of code somewhere, and I also lost something happened with the recording, and I really don't want to redo it. So because it is simply just dealing with TailwindCSS, we don't have to use TailwindCSS. You can use a CSS framework of your choice, and it's not really germane to the whole thing. We are just going to pretend it never happened, and we're going to move on. The thing I want to show you is that essentially with essentially what's happened is that all I've done so far that we've missed is like I've just made like this base, like this filler homepage, and there's a little bit of styling. That's all you missed, right? This whole process, we're not going to hear too much about styling, and so I really don't want to record getting TailwindCSS working again. So we're not. We're just going to move on. We're going to go to important things, like as you can see. We've set up Rails with RSpec. We've configured TailwindCSS with just the basic layout. So we're going to create an application control with some base functionality, create a home control with an index action, home page view with a game introduction, and some routes, and just some stuff. You know, we're getting back to our things. I really want to TDD this, so let's get started. Alrighty, let's go. So I'm on our branch. We're going to go to spec. We're going to create a new folder. That's going to be features. No, where are you? Sorry, wrong thing here. Spec, new folder. Features, right? And cool. I'm going to make a new file. Home page. Cool. So we're going to write our test. If I can type, learning how to type would be good. You think I would know how to by now? Alas. RSpec describe. Home page type feature do. Why do you hate me? Cool. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do a before do visit root path and cool. And the first one I'm going to add here is it displays the game title cool, right? I expect the page to have the content point to, you know. The one thing I like to do is I like to anticipate what kind of problems we're gonna have or errors we're gonna get. And I'm wondering to myself, I see this like, did I install Capybara? Did I do that? I really did. And that works. Did I really do that? I don't remember doing that. Yeah, Capybara. Duh. It's right there. Why did I think that I didn't? It's fine. So I'm going to copy and paste some stuff that I've like thought about before, so we don't have to watch me type. And it's just like checking the page has these things on it, and that's fine. Right? And like, let's see here. Let's see how many of these pass and how many don't. Yeah, they all pass. They have all the things that works. So what I'm going to do, the next step is that we are going to Add some functionality in here that I'm going to need before we do a thing. Let's see here. So I'm thinking about, the thing is I want to add some helper methods in the application controller for that to do some helper methods in the application controller. Right. And I'm just going to copy this and paste. Current user method. User signed in. And authenticate user. Have that in there. So these three methods, what we're doing here is the current user is going to return the currently logged in user. And this is just a helper that we're going to build out a little later on when we start doing authentication. User signed in, checks if a user is logged in, authenticate user, redirects to the home page if the home page, redirects to the home page if not logged in. Right. And so we got that working. Write test for that later. Let's take a look at the home controller. The home controller is where I put the stuff for the home page. We don't have anything here right now because we're just rendering a static page essentially. We might add something here later, don't know. But that's cool. And so our existing view looks pretty good. I want to add some authentication placeholders for the future. So that's why we're kind of adding those helper methods in the application control now, so I can add some placeholders in here, right? So the hero section. We are going to put this above the hero section. Oops. Cool. That looks reasonable enough. Okay. Server. Cool. Let me pull up. Cool. So this is what it looks like now. Same exact thing, really, except we have this hero part here. This here, what is that? Let's take a look at inspect. So I want to look at this here. Like, where is this coming from? Inspect element. Div class. Container. Font bold to make a star. So we'll get rid of that. So it's not in. Let's get rid of that and let's see how that looks without. No, don't want to do that. All right. So because that only gets rid of, deleting that line only got rid of this, I want to keep that. You gotta figure out what that is. And if it's not in the index, that means it's gotta be in the application. HTML.urb. Yep, and that's that right here. Get rid of that. Wait a second. That's in the. What if I just replaced this? Yeah, this should have gone. My code I wrote here should have gone in the application.html.erb, not the index. The header does not belong to the index. So we'll get rid of that there. And when we refresh this, now this looks a ton better. Not a huge fan of the color still. I will probably mess with that more. But so far, this looks pretty good. Right? That looks good. Cool. That looks good. Let's go here. Commit everything. Have it generate the things. Cool. Push that up. Yep. Man, I guess that took a lot less time than I thought it was going to. So that's done. What we're going to do is merge in that pull request. Just going to do this off screen here. Yep, merge the pull request. From the merge, that's done. We will go back to main. And we will pull changes down. Cool. And that should be good. Right. All right. So that's done. Let's see what's next on the list. Since that took like, let me check out OBS here. Since that took 8 minutes to do. 8 minutes? How long? Yeah, 12 minutes to do. We're just going to keep rolling. I'm going to start user authentication. So what I'm going to do is, wrong button. Create branch name, user auth. I guess I should rename the stream in this episode to user authentication. Can I do that? Stream info updated successfully. User authentication. That's what we're doing. All right. So let's see here. Let's think about our user authentication. All right. So we've set up our Rails application with RSpec. Configure TailwindCSS. Create a home page. We need to create a user model with email and password digest. We've already done that, so we don't need to do that anymore. We've added bcrypt. We've added functionality, right? We've done this already, right? This is why AI is like kind of weird. So the next step, I think, is let's just verify, right? It doesn't hurt to verify. We look at this. We've got the validations. We've got the test for validations. So I guess the next step we're going to do is user registration, right? And so the prompt for that is, oh no, here we go. Create user model validations, add a bcrypt and has secure password. Create users control with new, blah, 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 blah. All right, so what I'm going to do is we're going to pull up my AI and turn on extended thinking. I'm going to re-sync my repo. Okay, let that go and I'll show you what we do. All right. We are going to work on the next prompt in our game. Right. I'd like you to generate a step-by-step guide on how to do this using TDD and writing tests first. I don't want controller tests. All tests should be model or feature tests, right? What else do it? Ask me questions that you have before we begin. Some additional information. Some information. No, we'll fix that later. This is good. Yeah. Cool. Yep, just gotta do the whole recap, like the recap episode. Love that it sees that everything. Let's get started. Feature test. Cool. And let's get started. I'm gonna pull this off to the side. All right. Publish the branch because we are on user auth. Fantastic. First thing I'm gonna do is I have features. So features got the home page. I want to make a new folder. I'm going to call it user auth. Right, because I should really use underscores, even though I don't like underscores. Because I want, nope, minimize my editor. Where are you? I want to start thinking about organization. I don't want all my tests just to live in the folder, right? So we're going to call this user registration spec.rb, right? And let's get to it. Rails helper. Registration. Cool. And the first thing I'm going to do is going to use a scenario block, just like to kind of group things together to organize a little better. User successfully registers to right, and of course I'm going to use visit new user path. I want to copy this. Right, fill in an email, fill in a username, password, etc. And then this is the interesting thing that I've not seen before. This kind of testing, I'm just the AI generated this test, and I understand what it's doing, right? I've just not seen this kind of test done like this, but like, yeah, like by reading it, because RSpec testing and sugar matchers and all this stuff makes these things, super easy to read. It's like, yeah, I understand. When I click button register, I expect to be more of a user, right? And so after that happens, we're going to expect the page to have content registration. Did I spell right? That did not spell that right. Successful. And then we are going to do this. Expect current path to equal root path. Right? Whenever I'm doing feature tests and I do something, I always expect that, like, I always want to test that I did the thing I said I was going to do, that the page has the right information I want, and that where I end up is where I want to be. Right, and that this meets that question. Like, I expect that when I do this, there's going to be one more user that is going to tell me the registration is successful, and that we're going to be where we want it to be. Easy peasy. Next up is, you know what, I'm going to copy and paste some of these because it's a lot of typing. And this is a test I'm going to read with you and vet with you. Just got to get rid of that. Invalid information. Let's leave that comment in there to make sure people understand, right, what the intent is. Right? I expect these things to happen, and user count equals 0. I don't need that comment. It's like, yeah, it doesn't actually create the user, right? So that's a thing. We're going to write a test for another scenario. I think that leaves all these scenarios you're probably familiar with just by being a person on the internet. What happens if you try to register with mismatched passwords, right? This one is a more interesting one, where a user tries to register the email that was already taken, right? And this one, the difference here is that we're going to create a user that already has this stuff. Cool. All right, so we have that. And the first thing we're going to do is, like, this kind of is good documentation about what we expect to happen here. For some reason, there are routes. And if I run the test, let's see that. We'll complain about not having good routes. Let me go here, take a look here. Yeah, undefined local variable new user path, right? Because it doesn't, that's not a real thing. It doesn't know any path things get defined by our routes. So we're going to make the routes to fix that. Resources, users, only, new, create. Resources is the syntax that essentially cuts it down. Like this line is here if we did a, get users new to users controller, same thing, just shorthand. Right? And here's the interesting thing: the AI is just like keep the root at the bottom. Like, why do I at the bottom? Leave it at the top. Whatever, who cares? Right. Next up, we have this here. Then I'm going to need a controller. We're going to need a new file, users controller.rb. I want to note that controllers are plural, models are singular. You do not know how long that took me to memorize that. Lots of errors, but anyway. Class. You know what? Copy and paste this. Because it's a lot of typing. I don't want to deal. And I know what's happening. The whole point is AI should serve you. And we're going to talk about what it does. The new route here is for the new form. It's going to have a user new. It's going to create and send that to the form for us to be able to make a user. Create is when we take information from the form and then create a user and then redirect elsewhere. And private. The user params is just a way to lock down the params that are coming in so that we're only getting the things we want. So cool, that looks good. And now that we have these controllers, we do need the views. And this is going to be my favorite part of this whole process, is that AI is going to generate the views for me. It's like HTML, CSS, so much typing. And we're going to use a users folder because that's where things are. New.html.erb. Users, because we're working with the users controller, we're doing the users. I'm going to copy and paste this form. I also hate forms. Let's go back up, get rid of that there. Cool. And so essentially this is a lot of formatting. It's like, this here, if users any, is going to be a thing that pops up. Like, so if we register and there's any kind of error message, it's going to kind of reload, quote unquote, the new user form and then give us these errors. That's what this code here is for. And this here is the syntax for the new user sign up form. It's going to look like any other new user sign up form that you have. Right? We have this here. This here is a placeholder. Like, we don't have a login page yet. That's next up. But that's a nice little placeholder to have for us here. Cool. The next thing we're going to do is that we need to go to our application. And we're going to need to deal with flash messages. And I'm going to copy and paste this just for you. Oops. Cool. And then we need to, in our application, we have this user signed in stuff here, like this stuff here. If user signed in, it's going to be current user username, link to dashboard, log out, else. Okay, that looks good, that looks good. Link to our new user registration page, so register. This here was the placeholder, so we're going to change this to new user path, and this is a path helper that we get by using the routes file. Cool, that looks good. That's something I knew on right now, that you could just put in a pound sign instead of like anything in order to be able to put in a link or a button, not have it fail out. Because usually if you don't have a route for something, it'll be like, I don't know anything about this route, I'm not going to build anything. This pound symbol is real interesting. It's really nice. Real nice touch that we can do that to kind of be able to work forward and work like on a thing without whatever. All right. Let's save that. What's happening? What's happening? I don't want this here. Discard changes. Cool. I'm going to run the test and see what happens. One failure. What is the failure? Expected to find text. Registration successful. Registration successful. So let's take a look here. This is the part of code here that's responsible for the what's the word I'm looking for? The flash messages that up top. So we'll split that right, so that's there for us to look at. And we're going to look at the user's controller. I don't know why this is doing. So because I don't know what's happening, I am going to pull up my browser. Alright. I'm going to pull this up and we'll see how this looks. Register. That looks great, actually. I'm going to be like mike@mike.com. Username Mike. Password hamburger1. Hamburger1. Register. And it says registration successful, right? So why is the test failing? Because here it's a lowercase s, and it's looking for an uppercase s. And we are going to run this over again and see if that passes. Oops, no, not that. Yeah, big money. But yeah, looks like that. Yeah, this is fantastic. This is so good, so good, so good. Let's pull up the thing again and we can show you this. Like, look how good this looks. This looks like a real professional person made this. Dashboard, log out. I'm gonna tweet this later. Like I said earlier, like half of the stuff I expect to change in the future. But like, this is really good. This looks so good. Look at this dashboard, and like form looks fantastic. You know, email, username, password. You know, don't need more information about that. That's so good. All right. So that's about half an hour. It took half an hour to implement authentication. But this looks real good. We have good tests that passed. Nothing was broken. Next time, what are we going to do next time? What are we doing next time? Next time, session management. Session management. Like, and what session management is people going to log in and it's going to remember who they are and things like that. All right. Cool. Thank you for watching. Follow, like, subscribe, notification bell, whatever you want. Help us out. And enjoy.